Hi, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. The guru's back, but we had kind of a lighting situation, so I'm going to go ahead and hold this myself. But he did remind me, at least, to put on the mic, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me better today without going, "What?" So anyway, this is my favorite kind of day today. It was raining slightly outside. I was out cutting out and thinning out mulberry trees, and teaching my younger son, my 9-year-old, how to use an axe and a machete. And then I got to raining too hard, so it's time. I cleaned up, and it's time for the clean part of the day. So I'll sit down and shoot this. I've had several people. I was going to say something also about the mulberry trees, because somebody asked me about it. A lot of people hate mulberry trees. They just figure that they're weeds, and they are kind of the weed of the tree world. But I like them. They're first off, the mulberries themselves are some of the best tasting and most nutritious berries that you'll ever get. Probably second only in nutrition to elderberries, although they taste a lot better than elderberries. And even more so than blackberries, and I grow both the elderberries and the blackberries. So, and of all of those, I prefer the mulberries the most. But they are a weed tree, and I used to just clear them all out. But then I got to where I let them grow so that I can chip them and use them in the garden. And now instead of chipping them now, because I've got plenty of chips, I'm going to use some of these to teach my sons the hugelkultur method of gardening. Which, if you're not familiar with that, look it up. And I've had great I don't know how it's spelled, HUGELCU culture, whatever. But I've had great luck with that, and I think that and I use the Back to Eden and wood chips also, and that does well. But I think that the best results I get are when I combine the two and start with a hugelkultur, kind of an offset of a hugelkultur, and then wood chips on top of that. So anyway, that's just kind of what we were doing, and it was fun teaching my young one how to use a machete and an axe, and so now I'm doing it's the clean part of my day. Anyway, I've had several people make mention lately and ask me in emails, and a couple in person actually, of people who I know. And I should say, I know that I talk parenthetically. People tell me that I talk with a lot of inserts and commas and stuff, and it's just the way I am. But I always try to get back to my point. So, but I've had people have asked me on email and saying, "Well, I don't want to clutter up your comment sections on your videos and things like that." And I don't mind. I don't care. Maybe that's a faux pas in the YouTube world. I don't know as much about the YouTube world as most, so I don't know if it is or not. But I certainly don't mind if you ask long questions. Gives me something to read and something to answer. So anyway, what some of them have brought up was something that also had been brought up. I remember way back when my first books came out, and there were some comments, some kind of negative comments from people that to the effect of, well, that's just what you've described is just that would never, you could never do that. How you described Stonmont, who has $1 million to put together a place like that? Not everybody has all the money in the world, and not everybody has a bunch of friends who are ex-cops and military special ops guys and such like that. And no, we just can't do that. And this is just unbelievable. It would never happen. Well, I think I mentioned this in a video sometime back. I'm sure that a lot of people don't have. I mean, people have different types of friends. Whatever. I just write about what I know and what my world is, and if you don't have some competent people in your friendship group, maybe go out there and try to expand your friendship group. But good people and solid people
will make through a catastrophe fairly well, because the average solid person has good judgment and good skills and good thought processes, and will work together and get anyway. You don't have to have all these special people, and as I wrote in the books, most of them weren't. Most of the people who came through the community were just normal people who would have been kind of left out in the cold and foundering probably, if they hadn't hooked up with the people in the story. All it takes is a few people that kind of know what they're doing, to help a whole group come together and do better than they would have otherwise. But the second question, or maybe it was the first, I don't know, was, not everybody has all that money. Well, first off, I kind of explained in the book how that came about. They worked for it, and it was a process. It was over a process of a lot of years. And I'll say right here that regardless of what you hear or what you read in the books, I know a lot of people are every bit that prepared, and some people who are even more prepared than what you'll read about in Stonemont. So, but that is a goal. That is it's a goal. It's not necessarily what everybody has today, and that's what a goal is, right? It's something that you work for, and it takes effort and it takes time, and most goals take some money, especially something like this. And you just get out there, and if it's important enough to you, you'll do what it takes to get it done. One of my dad's favorite jokes that I never got when I was a kid, I thought it was stupid, and every time he started to tell it, all of us kids would go, "Oh no!" But I started to understand it when I got older. And it was a story of a joke, actually, of a traveling salesman. And don't worry, the kids can stay in the room. It's not one of those. Anyway, this traveling salesman was driving out in the country from small town to small town, trying to sell something or other, a thingamajig. And he looked off into a field, and he saw this farmer holding a pig up to an apple tree. And that pig was just munching away on that apple. And I just now realized I don't know where to look on this phone. Hey, Guru, where am I supposed to look on this phone? There's the camera. Okay, so all this time, all these people have been thinking that I'm looking at someone else, right? And it's probably bugging the heck out of them. Well, I'm sorry. I'll try to get used to this. Anyway, so so this farmer looks at, this traveling salesman, he looks at and he sees this farmer holding this pig up to an apple tree, and this pig just munching away on an apple. And when he gets done with that one, the farmer kind of takes a step to the side and gets that pig over to another apple, and that pig scarfs that apple down, and this goes on for several repetitions with these apples. And this salesman is shaking his head. What in the world is this? So he just has to find out. So he pulls he shuts off the car and walks down a hill and walks up next to the farmer and says howdy, and probably said hello, but the farmer turns around and says howdy, and the salesman says, I couldn't help but notice that you're holding this pig up to an apple tree, letting him eat those apples. And the farmer says, yep. And the salesman says, well, do you mind me asking why you're doing that? And the farmer says, well, this hog likes apples. And the salesman kind of, scratches his head and looks at him again and says, well, forgive me for, being, forward here, but wouldn't it make more sense just to knock a bunch down on the ground, or shake the tree or something and get all those apples on the ground, and then the hog could, or the pig, he called him a pig, the pig could eat all he wanted to. It seems to be easier, and seems like it would save a lot of time. And the farmer thought about it for a minute, and he said, well, what's time to a hog? And when I got to understand that, I started thinking it was funny. And it kind of reminds me about where too many people in the preparedness world find themselves stuck in process. Okay, and what I mean by that is, they get kind of involved in one thing or another. They get involved in whether it's their food or the weapons or their comms or their whatever it is. There's so many things to deal with on this that they get into that so much that it becomes a habit that they just continue and continue and continue as an activity, and they get hooked into and addicted to the process of it. Just like the farmer, he was hooked into the process of holding that pig up there, thinking that it was the purpose of this process was to let that pig eat apples, and that wasn't. The purpose is to get the apples down where the hog can eat them, so you can go do something else. Okay, so my what this is kind of a suggestion to anybody out there who finds that you're constantly, having got a knife, you continue to be looking for the next knife that can be better, or having gotten the guns that you need, you're still looking. You're still going through and thinking about different ammo and different loads, and you got got to get a different rifle and all this. You become addicted to the process, and so my suggestion is use that process to reach a goal. Okay, and then. And you're probably working on several goals at the same time. So, but make those realize that the purpose of a process is to reach a goal. Now, once you've gotten all of your things in order, then if you find you've got and filled up all of your empty spots, then if you think, well, I can do better on this, and let's take it to the next level, well, then that's certainly what you want to do, and that's really the lesson of my series of books, and it was a lesson that I covered a lot in the Reversion, and I went on in the other books too, but that's what it was about. It was a matter of work for a long time to prepare, not getting caught up with the process, and also not falling into the trap of that's all I can do. Okay, too many people shut themselves down and stop because it just take too much work and effort and whatever to continue on. There's an old saying that success comes from a strong will and failure comes from a strong won't. And I see too many people out there that have these excuses. It's easier to make an excuse on why you can't do something than to put in the work to get her done. And so that's my suggestion. And I would say, as whether you read my books or as you read my books, think about this. But even otherwise, realize that your limitations are always self-imposed. It's a matter of how big you can think, how much you want, how much you're able or willing actually to put into it, and pretty much you're going to get out of things what you put into them. So that's my spiel for today, and whatever it's doing in your neck of the woods, this is a rainy day now, and I love the rainy days, so it's going to give me a chance to do some things that I don't do on sunny days. So wherever you are, I hope you have a great day, and remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Thanks a lot. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.